Do something down.
No intro. You could be our new intro, Barry. Anyway, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Scale Model and Chill, episode 190, sponsored by no one. I haven't done any intros yet because, as I said, I've still got to work things out. But yeah, I've kind of settled on Scale Model and Chill, and I understand that it's not as catchy as what we originally had. But what originally had caused me to get a letter from a lawyer. So that name's now gone. We're going to move on with Scale Model and Chill, unless, as I've said openly, that if a scale model manufacturer wants to sponsor us and put the name in front, we will have a scale model shop would like to sponsor the show, then we will gladly call it their brand and chill. Yep. Anyway, good evening, everybody in the chat. We've got Zinzan on tonight. We've got Luke. We've got John Alec. We've got Brett. We've got Joffy, and we've got Barry. And I have sent out emails to others, and they may turn up. But anyway, so isn't it hot? It is so hot, and I am sweating a lot. But I've actually not been on the bench now for 2 weeks. Apart from doing a review on a kit, I haven't even got. It's like the heat has put me off doing any scale modeling. I haven't lost my mojo. It's just when I get home, I'd rather just chill somewhere where it's a bit cooler. Now this room here is 27 degrees. I've got a fan in the corner, but I can't have it too close because the microphone will pick it up. So there's a fan there, blowing warm air towards me, I guess, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's very, very warm. And I was just wondering if the chat or the panel here have felt the same over the last 2 weeks because of the temperatures. And then does it really bode that I always notice that the live streams and the views on my channel increase in the colder parts of the year. But when it's warm, I don't think people want to be staying indoors doing scale. So what's my question then? Does climate and temperature dictate when we scale model, I suppose? So I'll open it up. John, you live in America. You know what it's like to be hot. Does it put you off doing scale modeling when it's too warm, or do you just switch on the old aircon and just get spraying away?
I mean, we have it in our house here, so it's typical in at least. I live in what's called the Mid-Atlantics, right? So I live north of DC. So colonial homes are the norm out here, and usually the homes. We have two separate AC systems, right? So we have a downstairs system and an upstairs system. It's like 74 degrees in my house right now. So no, the temperature, it's actually worse in the winter because the heater, right? So, because it gets very cold out here. In the winter, it gets very hot in the summer. So when the heater is on, it gets really dry. Yeah, it's just very dry, and it gets more difficult to paint. Out here, and so I think that answer probably, Brett, I'm sure would be a great chime in as well. But I think most people are going to say the same thing. It's just that just AC. Heat and AC it's just so common out here that we really don't. I mean, you guys just suffer out there, and I feel bad for you. It's just so hot, and you can't do anything about it, right? It's terrible. You can put on the fans, but you can't do jack. But no, we just carry on as normal.
Yeah, I get that. Brett, you at high altitude though, is it different for you? Are you always cold?
Well, in Leadville, in our history, we've only hit 80 degrees once until yesterday, and we hit it for the second time in our history since 1860. We hit
Wow.
80 degrees the second time.
Terrible.
Yeah.
So our other problem is right now, 3 miles away, there's a forest fire burning. So we've been in pre-evacuation status for 2 or 3 weeks. Fortunately,
wow.
the fire's moving away from us, so we're not all that concerned about it. The first few days we were, but since they got kind of a handle on it. But yeah, it doesn't really affect, because 80 degrees isn't that hot. We have no humidity. So
Yeah.
it's just up here, it's something we're not used to. We never get into the 80s. Like I said, twice in 100 and 200 or 160 years, we've hit 80 degrees. So
Yeah. Wow.
normally, winter, our heaters work great. So I generally can
Yeah.
model year round. It's just right now the smoke and stuff is preventing me from painting because smoke is particulate. But they've got it, like I said, it's not threatening the home anymore. It's blowing the other way, so we're good that way.
That's all right. Yeah, at least you're safe. That's all that matters, isn't it? At least you're safe. So
After our first 2 days, we were worried about it, but we're not anymore.
well, that's good. That's good to know. Luke, you've got aircon and Dyson fans and everything in your model room, keeping you nice and warm. And the fact you're both, the heat dissipates anyway, doesn't it? I guess. You're right. Model room.
It escapes through my head, mate. Can you hear me okay? Sorry.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, fine.
1 second. I'll move my microphone earlier because it was clean. There we go. That's better. Yeah, I don't. I think traditionally, certainly in the UK, if not around the world, really, the sort of winter months tend to be more hobby focused.
Yes.
Than the summer months. And to be honest, it doesn't really affect me. I build all year round. It doesn't. But I think for the majority of people, there's other stuff to do during the summer.
Yeah.
And I think that's absolutely right, really, because we're not known as a community for our health and fitness.
Yeah.
And I think, unfortunately, if someone's sat in a small room building scale models when it's blazing hot and they could be out having a walk or whatever,
Yeah.
maybe they should be outside having a walk.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's traditionally a more winter type hobby. It doesn't affect, as I say, it doesn't affect me. I build all year round. I can maintain the temperature the same all year round, so it doesn't really matter. But I think here in the UK, it's humidity that does us rather than temperature.
Yeah.
And to what John was saying, our residential buildings certainly are built in a very, very different way.
Yeah.
In the fact that we're not used to hotter temperatures. Our climate has never been that way. So air conditioning isn't standard. It just isn't, is it? It's expensive, or it's one of these standalone portable units or whatever. It's not standard, whereas in other places in the world, it's a standard thing in people's homes.
Yeah.
And they're built to dissipate heat, whereas our homes generally are built to keep heat in. And I can certainly notice it in my house, because half of the house is like 200 years old and half of the house is modern. And you can physically feel the difference in temperature. Yeah, absolutely. Before you put any sort of climate control stuff on, you can tell which part of the house you're in.
Keep saying he's retired for early morning modeling for me. Yeah, see, when I scale model, it's mostly in the afternoon. I go and do all my business work in the morning. Then I come home, probably take the dog out for a walk, come back, then sit on the bench and either continue on a build that I'm building, or I'll do a video. But I've just had no inclination whatsoever to sit on my bench, really. It was more of a necessity, really, to get a review out. But yeah, I have found myself in. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the heat, when I'm outside. What I don't enjoy is the heat at night, when you're trying to get to sleep. It's the only way to describe it is like I was walking the other day and I just thought, this heat. Oh yeah, and a bus drove by me. That's what it was. A bus drove by me and parked up to pick somebody up. And the heat that was coming off that bus felt like the heat that you're getting when you're walking around the UK. It's that like moist, sickly, stick to your skin sort of heat. Yeah. And I think that's the problem, I just feel, I say you feel lethargic. Yeah, the mugginess, that's a good word. The mugginess. You just don't want to do nothing. So yeah, I'm at that stage at the minute. I've got a couple of kits I want to get on with, and I sit at my bench. I'm like, nah, I just go sit in the conservatory.
I think that there's no doubt about it from a physical point of view. Yeah. And I'm not saying for a second that you're out of shape, Moz. That's not the road I'm going down.
No, sorry, mate. I know. I am a walking advert.
The more healthy and the more physically fit someone is, they can cope with it, or their body will cope with it, whether it be hot or cold, much better. I mean, there's places in the world that I've been that was 55 degrees in the shade in the summer.
Yeah.
And you're wearing your own body weight in kit. However, you're young, fit, healthy, so you can deal with it a lot better. Now, traditionally, you're very much like Zinza, but traditionally, this hobby, people do it when they're older, generally. And perhaps we're not known for our health and fitness within the community.
No.
So
we've only just started wearing masks.
Or have that, have perhaps more of an effect on our hobby than others.
Yeah, exactly. Richard says, I've been to much hotter places at Death Valley, but it's humidity that's killing. Yeah. Oh, when I got married years ago, we went to Morocco for a honeymoon in Marrakesh. We were happily walking around the souks and, trying to find McDonald's. And the heat is like 42 degrees centigrade. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, lads, in America. I'm not too sure, gallons or whatever you call it. But yeah, it was hot. But the thing is, though, is that we were walking in this 42, 43 degree heat, and our clothes were not sticking to us. Do you know what I mean? And I think that is. And I was watching on YouTube because like I said, I've been watching a bit of YouTube this week because YouTube helps me with my, keeping focused and stuff. And the guy was explaining how that we sweat to cool down, but because of the humidity in this country, the sweat doesn't dissipate. And so your body's still trying to cool you down, but the sweat is, and that's what the mugginess comes from. So,
yeah, and that's true. So perspiration is the body's natural cooling agent. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, because as that moisture evaporates from the skin, the heat goes with it. That's what it's designed to do. But the more humid the climate, and that's what we suffer with in the UK, it's not, 35, 36 degrees is not that bad really temperature-wise, but the humidity is 70+%.
Yeah, you said that on Saturday. Yeah,
that's an issue for a lot of people,
Yeah,
and that's why some people cope really, really well in the desert, and they won't cope very well in the jungle. It's actually cooler in the jungle, but the humidity is so much higher.
Yeah, exactly.
And it buggers people.
Mills model kits probably was out when you were there, mate, because he was saying Iraq is bloody hot, then bloody cold. He's saying it's but that's the same, isn't it? I could understand that.
And I feel certainly anyone that's been in the military and in that part of the world, firstly, you are younger, fitter, healthier. That helps a lot.
Yeah.
Secondly, you're almost spoon-fed how to cope with the heat. You know, we were drinking 8-10 liters of water every single day, taking salt tablets because of the amount of salt and nutrients that you lose in through sweat, you know, and all this stuff. Whereas people in the UK, because we're not used to those climates, you know, they're like, oh, I remember my nan saying, have a cup of tea, it'll cool you down. No, complete bollocks. No, right.
Yeah, exactly. I tell you, I was my gran used to be somebody was like lemon tea. She'd always have lemon tea. But don't get me wrong, cold lemon tea is refreshing.
Yeah, iced
not
tea.
hot.
Yeah,
Yeah, iced tea is nice. No. Yeah. You know, I used to remember she used to give it to me. I don't drink tea at all now, and I think it's because when I was a youngster, I was forced tea, and one day I started not drinking tea anymore. It just so I'm a coffee man all the way. Coffee or cold drink.
Yeah, same here. I drink nothing but coffee.
Yeah,
it was army tea that put me off.
It's just what we get used to as a society. That's all it is. You know, if we were experiencing extreme cold, or extreme by our standards, then we'd be in the same boat. It's just a different end of the scale because we're not used to it. But then you look at the Inuit tribes and stuff; they can carry on their day as normal in -40. They don't care because they're used to it. They're geared for it. They're used to coping with those extremes of temperature. That's all it is.
I think you're right. You know, it's definitely hot. I don't think it. They don't think it will though, Raymond. I've tried it. I've tried the hot drinks to cool down. You know, I was just about to say. My gran used to give me this hot lemon tea, and I used to say to her, "But I haven't got a cold." Do you know what I mean? I'm not drinking lemon. You know what I mean? It's just.
I think in some sense, I think it's in some sense it's a question of physician heal thyself, isn't it? You know, and for some people it works to drink a hot drink. I can't say that it does with me, and I mean, this last few days hasn't actually been all that bad for a number of reasons. But I mean, the first sort of lot of heat we had a few weeks ago. You know, it was about 9 o'clock at night, and I'm wandering around the bottom of the house sweating like a glass blower's arse, quite frankly. You know,
you nick out from me.
We when we bought the house, I decided I said to my wife, look, you know, we should get a house with north-south facing windows, no east-west facing windows, and this really helps because you don't get any sunshine coming in through the windows and radiating heat in through the windows in the afternoon when it's at its hottest. So all it's doing is shining onto the walls and onto the roof. And because we live near the sea, then it makes it somewhat cooler as well. I mean, if you live in the middle of London, then it's going to be 10 or 15 degrees hotter. You know, and I notice Hobby Time says it's okay for me. I've been playing cricket. Well, I haven't. I messed up my finger and I'm still another 3 weeks away from it, but I've been going along to the games, but I will do. And yes, I do get used to it. But I mean, in terms of actually fashioning models, I did fashion one and I paint still because my painting booth is actually in the garage. And that, you know, that is kind of useful. There is a point at which the tip of your squizzer starts to that's a technical term, by the way, starts to dry up and it's hard to paint. But
tip dry, we call that tip dry, mate.
Right, that's the technical term. Thank you very much for you know.
You probably would have saved your finger in cricket if you knew that as well. You know
what
I mean?
Knew that, absolutely. Well, if I got the bloody technique right, then maybe I'd have saved it. So I finished that, and I'll have nothing more to do with it. You know, so thank you very much. But I mean, look, it's I've got this Tamiya P38 Lightning, which I'm doing, and I shall continue to do. And the weather will break in a minute, and it's actually quite comfortable here. There's not much breeze, but it's a bit. I've got a small wasp in the window here that's decided to come and join us on scale model and chill. and I'm going to tell it to shove off in a minute in short, sharp, jerky movements. But no, look, I mean, it is difficult. It's certainly, not what you want, but at the moment, quite comfortable. Hopefully, you all are too, despite the fact that it's warm. But I would note, actually, I do like going to the Greek islands for a week or so in the summer, and I know we all complain about it here, but what do millions of people do from the UK every year? They stuff off to Crete or Kos or Greece or Malta, and they say, "Oh, it's lovely and warm, isn't it? Oh, look, the weather's reliable." They say, and we say
it's a different sort of heat, though.
It is. You're right enough, Luke. Yeah, but it's like two old ladies sat on deck chairs, at Heraklion, isn't it? Oh yeah. Oh, it's a different sort of heat, Ada, they say, But there we
are. There's been so many TikToks of Black Americans living in London. There's so many. You can go look at them all over the place, and they're saying that what is this heat? It's like Satan's asshole, isn't it? And they're going on about it. And they're saying that if you hear an Englishman say that it's too hot, and believe them, because this is ridiculous. It's muggy, it's sweaty, And one other thing was the chap up the road said that when he was living in India, they used to put sheets on the outside of the windows in India to stop the heat from coming in. But I haven't tried that yet. But there's something that I'm interested in looking at is and then Brian said in his thing that they put the shutters on the outside of the windows in France. It keeps the rooms cooler.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And the reason for it is that you've got an air gap between the window and the shutter. So the radiation of the sun, the heat that is radiated, is cushioned by that air gap. It has a hell of an effect. It's a really, really good effect. And they do this in Greece as well, and it's exceedingly effective. So there you are. Excuse me a minute while I just piss off this wasp for a second. I'll be back in a minute.
You're going to get your chopsticks. You're going to get your chopsticks and sit there. But also, somebody just put a comment up saying that its temperature, the paint turns to putty. So that can happen. I know that. It's. I was just thinking today, actually, whether it's worth putting some of paints, outside of this room if it's getting too hot, just to protect them, because it could spoil paint. But if you've got any glossing to do on cars, if you've got some 2K or something, best time to do it is now. One spray, it'll be dry in 5 minutes. You don't have to worry about the dust in it. You know what I mean? But I can't say that I've noticed if I'm using Tamiya extra thin and stuff, gluing, cementing parts. I've not noticed that, but the time when I notice it when it's too hot is when I'm using an airbrush, and that tip dry is almost constant. You've got to keep picking the paint off the end, pinching the tip off, and spraying. But as I said, I haven't really been doing that. Any painting. As I said, I've not been on the modelling bench for 2 weeks. But if you haven't got any tips on how to model in this heat, let us know in the comments, please. It'd be good to know. Air conditioning, yeah.
And a dehumidifier. That'll help.
Yeah.
Just model in the morning.
Model in the morning.
This is an east-west facing house. Out there, the sun is shining. I can see Broughton Burrows beyond that salt and sand, and it's now 29.7 in here. So I get up in the morning and I do the mod while the sun's over the other side of the house, do the modelling, do the painting. Once the sun gets up there, I'm off out on the motorbike for the rest of for a few hours.
Yeah,
because then it starts heating up and you can't do anything.
I mean, the reality is there's modelers all over the world, aren't there? And in some very, very humid places, lots of modelers in Belize and that part of the world where the humidity is through the roof most of the year. It's just taking those within your model room to try and combat. The humidity is the killer. The humidity is what's killing your paint. The humidity
Yeah.
is what's affecting your airbrushing. You get a dehumidifier on Amazon for 30 quid.
Yeah.
And if you think about our model rooms in general, we've got lots of equipment in what is a relatively small space. Lots of stuff. Like there's nowhere for that heat to escape. So you've got to take steps. Should you want to model during the warmer months, you've got to take steps to deal with the environment you're doing it in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
without
get used to whatever climate you stay in for more than a few weeks. I've lived in Nigeria and Kazakhstan, minus 40 to 40 degrees Celsius. You just get used to it. As I said, I'm not distinguishing that you can get used to the heat.
Yeah.
I just don't think you can get used to the humidity. I don't get me wrong. I wear shorts until the end of November. Okay, I like wearing short pants. You know, I don't like the cold, but it doesn't affect me as much. And when I'm cold, I end up doing more to keep warm. But when it's humid like this, all I want to do is just sit down and drink water. You know, I don't want to bugger about with a scale model. Will I get used to it? Well, I don't think anybody gets used to humidity, I don't suppose. You know, and the other thing about humidity is that we will have like a week of it, and then we'll have a massive thunderstorm, everything gets cleared, and then 2 weeks later, we're then back into the humidity. So you're not actually having... It's not like a 6-week thing in this country where we're humid for 6 weeks, is it? You know, even a bloody good thunderstorm clears the air, doesn't it? You know, and you're back to square one. So I don't think it's about getting used to heat. It's the humidity. Like you say, 70-80% humidity, you know, and you know, there are people, you know, schools are being sent home here because it's too hot. You know, kids are allowed to take their tie off or undo their top button on their shirt, you know, because it's too warm in the classroom. Not as if I'm going to do a lot of good for you, like, you know, but yeah, I just feel shit. I just feel shit in this weather.
It's something that you do, I think, get used to. I can give the example of we went to Bali for a couple of weeks in June about 7 or 8 years ago, so quite some time. But the thing that does hit you when you get there is it's 30, 31, 32 degrees, and it's damp, it's moist as well. So it's sort of subtropical type of stuff. And they have huge problems with, you know, material rotting that's left outside because it's warm and wet. And if you don't look after the inside of buildings really carefully, they start to smell musty and so on. You get that in the Azores as well. You know, it's the same kind of thing. You know, they get over it by having air conditioning. You know, you know, I would remark in passing that I said to my daughter who lives in just in Essex, about 30 miles north of London, I suppose. I said, "How are you getting on?" Because I know her house gets bloody hot when it's you know, when it's warm. And she's, "Oh, we're all right. We've had air conditioning installed 2 weeks ago," which was great. They've got through it because her husband has to work at home anyway, so they could justify it really easily. And it's not actually as expensive as people think, but it
isn't.
And you know, it's something to consider, because what do you do if it gets hot? You mitigate for it, you do something about it, and you can, and you just have a cool, dry room to go and sit in, and there it is, you know. So there we are. But there's a health and hygiene tip for you there.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So
sorry, I just saw a comment there from where was it? I saw a comment from Paul, and he's lost 17 tins of enamel paint. I don't know how you're losing enamel paint, mate, in this weather, because unless you've left the lid off, enamel paint is a solvent. And if you got the lid on, you wouldn't lose the paint unless you put it down unless you've lost it down the back of the sofa or something. I don't know how you could lose.
Handy hint. Once you use the enamel paint, put the lid on and turn the tin upside down so the skin falls at the bottom.
Yeah, so it seals it. So
yeah,
Yeah.
I find I have a hard time keeping a really good seal on enamel paints. That's my problem. I don't understand. I don't know if it's me or if it's the enamels, but man, if the lid isn't sealed just right, it cooks off and just becomes peat or something.
Yeah.
Top
And
tip.
a lot of it depends on the design of the actual bottle or tin.
Yeah.
If you look at Tamiya acrylics, Tamiya enamels, and the way they're designed and the bottles they're in, and they're brilliant. They'll last you a lifetime because you can achieve that seal real easy. Whereas you look at the old sort of Humbrol tins, and unless you really know what you're doing and you're really diligent, quite easy not to get a correct seal and stuff. And then all
the Humble
paint's toast.
The Humble tints have been the same since 1970, haven't they? Yeah. They just you've got to prize them off and prize them on. This is they don't do this anymore. It's the enamel 239, which is British Racing Green. If you take them off and put them on again and just press them, and I just give them a quick shake, the paint naturally, enamels don't go off. And if you speak to Nigel, he's still got Humbrol in the original big tin.
Yeah,
that don't go off. I understand it's the acrylic. Some of the pots and that, Humbrol have redesigned those pots so many times. I remember the blue bottom one when you used to be able to, you could either unscrew the top or you could unscrew the bottom. It was like a tube put on top. They were not very good. They didn't last very long. But yeah, other than that, I don't know how you've lost 17 paints worth. Interesting. Phil's Model Making 6cc. I've been using Winsor & Newton acrylics flow improver in my acrylic paint. Been getting gift set paint from 2006 to behave itself and spray. Yeah, I've got to do my review on this Ultimate Acrylic Gold Air and Brush Thinner. I'm a convert. If you've got Humbrol paint, 50-50 this, mate. It sprays like Tamiya. Promise you.
Yeah, any acrylic will be wonderful with that stuff.
Yeah. Totally bought on this now. Still got to do a review on it. I've done an airbrush one, but I've not been able to edit it recently. But I will get on and do it. But yeah, so if you've got any of that,
just
fair
a quick
play.
tip, Moss, for people using enamels, if they want to make sure you get a good seal, just run a brush of thinners around the aperture of the tin. And you'll get a good seal every time.
Yeah. So there you go then, John. You need to get your thinners out, mate.
Yeah.
Find the aperture, not the one on your camera, the one on the tin.
No. Just run the brush around the opening of the tin, and it cleans all the paint off the aperture, and then you'll get a good seal.
Okay.
Great point here from the loafer. So 30 minutes of Britons discussing summer. What's happening in the modelling world?
A very fair point, well made.
It's a very fair point, well made.
Touché.
But we're just talking about. I'm just struggling to model. I am seriously just struggling to get the bench.
Well, I'm still building, but it's early in the morning when it's cool, and as soon as the sun starts heating up, I'm off out. So I won't be doing anything until tomorrow morning again.
Yeah.
I just turned the AC tower on, Barry.
Yeah.
Oh, Joff, I've got something for you. You mentioned the old tall Mark 9 Spitfire last week.
Yeah, the Johnny Johnson kit.
Yeah, I went through all my photographs. In the past 10 to 15 years, I've built 3 of them.
Really?
I think I've built 3 of them.
3 of them and 1 new tool. And I've still got an old tool in the stash. So I thought I'd annoy you with that one.
I'm annoyed.
I'm going to just say I'm surprised scale modelers don't use more Winsor and Newton in their jobs that they got to do on finishing plastic. I've blown away with a lot of Winsor and Newton stuff. There was something, Celtic West gave me something, or gave me a bottle of something. And I can't put it here. I got it here. It must be in the thing, but it must be in my little box. When I started to do figure painting, because my friend Celtic West he's sublime at doing busts and stuff, and he uses this product from Newton and Windsor. It's a medium. What's it called, Celtic? You're on the chat. What's it called? But basically, this stuff it thins down the so if you thin down your acrylics so it's more transparent, you put this stuff in it and it helps bind the pigment still, so you don't get like a watery effect. It still maintains the transparency of it. And I can't think what it's called. Have you got one there, John? Have you?
Oh, I've got their fluid retarder and their
Fluid retarder.
And flow improver.
Yeah, but I think it's called a medium something.
Oh,
I can't remember.
It's a little bit different. Okay.
Yeah, but those fluid.
I used to use that. Yeah.
Yeah.
These are dirt cheap too. I mean, these are like $5 a piece for this. It's like what, 250 mil.
Yeah, that's what it's called. It's called
I've
a
had
matte.
these for years.
Yeah,
matte.
But yeah, it's called matte medium. If you're doing figures and you know, it's like there's when things get transparent. If you know what I mean, it sometimes it looks watery, so it's like too clear. You add this to it, like, and it's really like brings out the pigment in it. Okay. And also I've used it with using acrylic paints just to thin things down, flow improver. And there's another one. I think they do a binder as well, which really helps the paint stick to whatever you're painting on. But I'm surprised we don't use it more in the scale model community. But I suppose it is aimed more at the artists that paint on canvas, I guess. But you've used quite a bit of it as well, haven't you, Luke? You've used a bit Windsor and Newton.
Yeah, I mean, I don't tend to so much now, but for years and years, my matte clear coat, my go-to clear coat was the Windsor and Newton Galleria. I think it's called Galleria range. Their matte varnish thinned probably 50-50 with ultimate acrylic thinner.
Yeah.
And it's flat than a witch's tit. It's brilliant.
Yeah. It is good stuff. So we just don't use enough of it.
Yeah.
I have a bottle in my shed next to model paints. Yeah. I think, you know, if you find things outside, because ultimately, if it's not, if it's a product that's used in scale modeling, they put that scale modeller's tax on it, and you probably find it cheaper but made by somebody else, isn't it? Like,
absolutely.
And I said, Windsor and Newton isn't expensive either. Their brushes are, you know, their sable brush line, crumbs, that's expensive, but yeah, but you know, in this weather, putting retarder in any paint if you're spray brushing, it's a good thing to have, or a leather or a leveler or something. It does help. The thing is, though, if you've never used this stuff before, when you do use it, you think to yourself, why you've never used it before? You know, why have you never heard of this stuff? You know, so, but yeah. Apparently, you're back now.
Scale model and chill's all about, Moss.
Yeah,
what it's all about. Yeah,
definitely. Skyfly Eye, very good. What am I looking for? There's another question, wasn't there? I'm just looking through. I don't know what that is. Airbrush medium, it's acrylic. Yeah, got that one. Vallejo Express Color does that. It's designed for miniature paintings and believes like a thick wash. That's what it does. It helps with the pigments in the product. Anyway, so me and Luke ended up. Well, I went to a scale model show on Sunday, and walking around looking at models and stuff. And Luke turned up as well. And I just want to say to Jared and the North Somerset lads, your unique selling point to your scale model show is the fact you have it at a museum full of military history. You know, you can spend an hour and a half easy just looking around all the helicopters that they've got there, and they've got quite a few. And it kind of, you know, and I was actually writing down my favorite model shows I go to every year, and you know, the top three, obviously Telford, because it's the biggest one, and you know, everybody's there. But then you've got Bovington Tank Museum. I love going to that one. And the other one was North Somerset, because you are there in the history. And all the other model shows I go to don't have that selling point, because once you've gone around all the tables once and seen all the models, what do you do then? Oh, go buy a few kits. Well, what do you do then? You know, you kind of. But when you go to a model show that's full of vehicles and history, I think it's a unique selling point that you'll spend more time there, looking at these vehicles. It's a fantastic scale, and it was actually very well run. And they've done, Luke, what you were suggesting about scale model shows, where there's not an actual competition at this show, but they will go around. The club will go around and award people for their modelling skills. And it was, you know, I got one for my Marder 1. It was recognised as being a very well weathered model. Very proud of them, because that was the third model I weathered, and I'll tell you the reason why I weathered it in that way was that everybody says that stalwart that I did looks incredible, right, using the powders, but a couple of people said that I may have over weathered it. You know, and I kind of get that, because when I look at it now, I think, well, yeah, I added too much there. On the back end, it looks perfect, but I put too much down the sides. You know, the cabin looks overly, it looks out of spec. Okay, so I did little, but enough, and I got to the point where I thought, have I done enough? And when I asked myself that, that was the moment I went, no, I said, stop, and I stopped. And I've had some really good comments on it. It was great to win an award with that. But any model, I'm trying to think, is there any other model shows that are based in museums around the country? I'm just trying to think.
Yeah, my favourite model show is based at the Royal Engineers Museum, Medway.
Medway, that's it.
And that's
Yeah.
a 2-day show in the Royal Engineers Museum. And generally our stand, I think 3 years we've been going there, our stand is underneath the nose of a Harrier GR3. It's a really good show for that reason, because you're surrounded by a museum, you know.
Where's Medway?
Sorry, Kent, isn't it? Yeah.
In Kent.
Yeah.
I might have to go to that next
2 days on the Saturday and Sunday. It's normally first weekend in September every year. And yeah, it's a fantastic show. Very well run. It's, you know, the Engineers Museum deal with all the car parking and all that sort of stuff. So it's really well run. It's a great museum, but it's funded by, or part funded by, the MOD. So it's going to be good, isn't it? Don't walk on the grass. You get very upset.
Don't go their way. Don't try and poke the bear. I do enjoy going to Wales because, no disrespect, I go to a lot of model shows down in the south, and over time you end up seeing the same scale models. If you go to Wales, you end up with some of the northern lot coming down a little bit, you know. And I think that's why I enjoy going to the policeman's model show up near Brum, because it's scale model clubs that I don't necessarily see down here in God's country, down here, like, you know. So it's yeah, I get that, but I just see that Boscombe down here. I need to go to that one as well, because I forget that one's in one. But if you, I just feel that when you're in a scale model show, when you in like in a museum and you see all the, like in Bussett Bovington, all the tanks, it's such a shame that the Yeovil model show left Yeovilton, because that used to be at the Yeovilton museum, and they kind of didn't want us there apparently. So then we ended up going to a school, and now it's not called. Well, it's called Yeovil Model Show, but this time it's in Taunton. Work that one out. But yeah, but I say I'm acrylic binder that stops the paint from breaking down. Yeah, thanks, Celtic. That's what you gave me. Yeah. It grows each year, that one, and it's only around the corner from that one too. Yeah, that's the Wales one. Yeah, fair enough. The Coventry one is at the Midlands Air Museum. I have to go to that one as well. I'm just saying that I just find some model shows more appealing than others. Not I'm dissing any. Don't get all girly and everything about me. I'm just saying that it's just nice to be where there's the real thing, if you know what I mean, as well as
Yeah, you will attract more visitors. So, for example, yesterday we're quite happy to drive 2.5, 3 hours because it's in the museum.
Yeah.
So if that was in a sports hall,
back and beyond,
we probably wouldn't have driven 3 hours to go to a sports hall
Yeah.
and look at some models. But because it's in a museum,
Right.
it's like two birds with one stone, isn't it? You get to go to the model show and you get the benefit of visiting the museum.
Mm.
So it is a big draw for people, I think.
Mm. Do models look different at different shows, or do they all follow the same path? I'm going to put my hand up here. When I go to a model show, I've got 2 boxes of around 20 models, and I will put out 5 or 6 or as much as I can on a stand, and then in the next show I will probably put other ones out. I try to mix them up. I don't show off my Ferguson so much now because I did that last year. The Stolly and the Marder one, the Red Bull Spitfire I've put out a few times, but generally when you go to these model shows, you will if they've been at a model show around your area, you will probably see the majority of the models you would have already seen before from the scale model show. That's not a detriment, okay? That I'm just saying, but when we do 9 a year, I think we do 9 shows a year. And so there is going to be a lot of overlap. Avon will be a good one to go to because it's a lot of the Birmingham and we'll call it the Midlands area come down to the Avon one. But when you've got like the Cornwall, Bugle Call, things like that, St. Salisbury, a lot of the models you've already seen before. But I think as a club, we do try. Well, I personally do try and mix it up a little bit. When I put them out. But yeah, I think that can be quite repetitive, but that doesn't take away from the fact that when you do go to a model show, there will be new models there because modelers keep on creating and they want to show off their latest masterpiece. But yeah, that's where I'm at with that. Really. Any other thoughts on that? Do people agree with that or disagree?
Yeah, sometimes you do see the stuff time and time again. I like to take something new every year.
Yeah.
It's curious. I can't quite sort of nail it down. You get special interest groups. I think that last year that someone did First World War aircraft, and that was like whether they're going to change any of the models this year, I don't know. But from a personal perspective, I do try and take something new every year.
Yeah,
I think it depends on your reasoning for attending a show, really, because there are many shows throughout the year all over the country. What we do as modelers isn't quick.
No.
So, you know, I probably finish, and I consider myself quite prolific. I'm quite fortunate that I spend a lot of time modeling.
Like a murderer. He's prolific.
Actual finished projects, maybe if I do 5 or 6 a year, then that's been a good year. Actually finished. So you're not going to see that massive turnover of things on club tables. But if you're going like I do, more for the social aspect of it, and meeting up with people and seeing people that you only ever see at a model show, really, then it doesn't necessarily matter too much to me that you might see the same stuff for 2 or 3 years on the bounce, because that's how long it takes for people to do new stuff.
Yeah,
you know, it doesn't factor in, and you get lots of under table sales and stuff that you won't see anywhere else, and that does change, you know, from show to show.
Yeah,
it does change. I had a massive bargain yesterday, so if I hadn't have gone, I wouldn't have got it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know that.
I do like the traders.
Yeah,
that's one thing I do like. I do like the traders, especially ones that are selling tools, brushes, etc., etc.
Yeah, I think I spend. Yeah, I think you boys are absolutely spot on. You know, I wasn't taken away. You know, we're asked if it was the same models. Yeah, but I think you're right. It's the social side of it, because I'm a bit of a bugger really, because I get to, there's certain people who go to certain clubs, and I've got to know through Epic before the live stream. Hey, let me put that £10 in.
Hang on, I've got to have a drink. Hang on,
I got to have a drink. That I've met through this live stream, and I'm a bugger, because I will actually go, because you know, you go up to a table and all the models are at the front and then all the guys around behind. I'm a bugger. I'll go in behind and sit with them and have a chat. I think that's what happened with me and Dan Brazil. He was at one of the model shows I went to. That's when we went to, Luke, together. And I ended up sitting beside him or behind, just chatting away with him. You know, and I like that. That's what I like, is be able to talk to people and, you know, discuss, you know.
I think it's changing. I do think it's changing. I think people are more sociable now.
Yeah.
But we all know it's that stereotypical, the club tables out, you got 2 grumpy bastards sat behind it that don't look up from the shitty 172 Spitfire they're building, that they've taken along for the day with their shitty tool. They don't look up, they don't engage with people at all. So you almost have to force yourself upon them, for want of a better term, in order to get some engagement.
I've got a theory why they look miserable behind the stand. It's their way of like putting up like a barrier, say, do not touch the models. If you put that fear in them, they're not going to touch your models, are they? Like, you know, we're going to get away from our models. You know what I mean? That's my theory on it. But no, we're quite welcoming. You know, our model club, people come and chat to us. We try to chat to people. If people look at a particular model, say for instance, I'll be there, and somebody will come along, and look at the flankers. We got a prolific flanker builder in our midst, Kim, and we if they come up and chat and they talk about the flankers, one of the club will talk with them and say, this is our member Kim, and we've seen the flankers a few times, and we've heard what Kim said about the particular flanker. We can then relay on what he said before about that model. But yeah, you know, engagement is a very, very big thing to have. You know,
I think you'll find, I certainly find, it's very rare as modelers that we get the opportunity to talk to other modelers about a particular build or a particular technique, or in that face-to-face real world environment. it's quite rare because I can go and say to my missus now, I've perfected the umber wash on this 109, but she couldn't give less of a shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I speak to other modelers and I can show them what I've done and how I did it, and vice versa, they can show me what they've done and how they've done it, and it's such a golden opportunity. But unfortunately, if you use the club table, my view is, if you use the club table as a barrier to that interaction, you're not going to get that interaction. And we always make a sort of subconscious rule, if you like, that when we display at any show, at least one member of our club will be at the front of the table.
Yeah.
So if someone is paying attention to a particular model or whatever, I mean, generally on our table, there's probably the work of 4 or 5 people on there anyway. But then that individual can then engage them in conversation and say, "Oh, he built that. Come here." And then you start that interaction, that conversation, because people are interested, but modelers are quite intrusive as characters generally, and they might not ask the question. So I think it's important just to say hello and start that interaction. That's what it's all about, really.
MT Park Loafer. To be honest, I've never been to a model show and have no inclination to do so. Why? I've seen the YouTube videos. I've been put off by the cramped spaces and the push to move along. No tar. If that's ever come across in one of my videos, my apologies, because that is not the case. But I always film the model show about 2 o'clock. The show starts at 10. Everybody's all in by about 1 o'clock. And then you get that lull. The only way to have a continuous shot of a table is when it's died down a bit. And normally after people, the first wave, they're all looking at the models. Then they tend to go traders. Then they go and have a bite to eat, come back and see something else they may not have seen. And then they disperse. So by about 2 o'clock, I'm then moving around. Now, when it comes to space, like for instance, at that model show on Sunday, every model club had 2 tables because of the size of the museum. But if you went to, say, Yeovil model show, you can have up to 5 tables. A lot of model shows allow you to have 3 or 4. So certain model shows have constricted areas, but generally there is no pushing and shoving at these. Everybody is respectful. You go along, you have a look. I'm always surprised by the amount of people who come with cameras to take pictures. They come and they take pictures of the models. That kind of slows up sometimes, but not in a detrimental way. I suggest, I don't know where you live, Mr. Loafer, but wherever you may be, go to a model show and embrace it, but also go with an open mind and a few £100 in your wallet. Because the first time I went to a model show after COVID, I spent a few quid. Did I spend a few quid?
I think,
yeah.
I think what we all have to bear in mind is everyone's got a different character, and everyone's got a different. Some people feel very, very comfortable in large crowds and busy environments. I absolutely do not. I hate it. I barely go out. I don't even go out to work anymore. I work from home. I barely go out because I don't like people. I just don't like them. I can't relate to them at all. But I think with a model show, my experience over the last, 15, 16 years, generally, everyone in the community is, like you said, they're very respectful. They're very polite. It's not like going to a bar, or it's not like going to a football match, or it's a different sort of it's a better class of person on a model show. That's it. You know, so although it may be busy, it's quite respectful in nature. There is no pushing and shoving and all that stuff that you may get in Tesco's or in other environments. You don't really get that. And what I would absolutely say is it doesn't matter how good the photograph is, how good the YouTube video is, of what it may be, there is nothing quite like seeing that model in person, in reality. It's a totally different experience. And chances are you'll be able to speak to the person directly who stood next to you who built it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
there's nowhere else you can do that, really.
Exactly. What was it? We were talking, weren't we? You were having a bit of lunch, weren't we? Or I came over to thank your beloved and give her some chocolates. And sat there chatting, weren't we? And this bloke came out of the blue, didn't he? And he goes, "You don't know me, but I know you." And he shook my hand. And I went to speak to him, and he goes, "No. I'll see you later." But I didn't see him in the end. He didn't come back. But Rogue One Photography said this: is that, yeah, to be fair, Moz, you knew that I recognised you at South Wales Model Show, and immediately engaged in conversation because I feel responsible in the sense of that if somebody does recognise me and wants to chat, I will give them the time of day. And the only time I don't is when I'm busting for a piss. Because I'm not this, and Nigel will vouch for me on this. I could leave the back of my stand to go for a pee, and as I'm walking along, I'll be stopped by 5 or 6 people. By the time I've spoken to the 6th person, I would say, "Listen, come and see me at the Iska stand. I'm not being rude. I'm going to wet myself in a minute, and I have to go." But any other time, you know, you can stop and chat with me, and I think that's one of the wonderful things in actually, it's a privilege for me because people who do watch and they know me, Moz, that you know that they do want to come up and talk to me about things and learn the history and everything else. But also when you do get to model shows, there are people that you end up starting to chat with, and you become. I'm very acquainted with the just for fun modelers. You know, the ones who build the models and put like a comedic take to it. I love those guys. Yeah, you know, they are.
It's one of my
absolutely,
favorites.
is it? Yeah, but they were such a fantastic, and they go to loads of model shows. That's their hobby. And whenever I go and because I always set up for the Iska lot, I get in first with the stands and set it up ready for them, and they will come and chat. They'll come have a chat with me, you know, and we always have a good old chat and whatnot. And there are people like Alex as well, and the Malvern guys. We end up chatting and having a bit of a laugh with them, like, you know, it becomes a community. And and I never, as I say, if you want, and I always carry stickers or carry some sort of merch for me to give away, so that they talking to me, they also take something from me.
That's one of the reasons we do the poker chips.
Yeah, exactly.
So if nothing else, it just shows a little bit of appreciation. That's all it is, and you know they're pennies really. They're not expensive, and it just shows that little bit of appreciation from one club to another.
Yeah. The show should be about community, not some things I've seen. To be fair, I'm somebody who goes to a lot of model shows, even shows that my club doesn't go to. Gloucester model shows, another one we'll be starting to go to. I've not seen that. I've not seen those things that it is a community, I think. We all see the same faces.
Yeah, but you have to bear in mind, Muse is in the US.
Oh, is he? Sorry, I do apologise. Sorry, mate. I don't know about that. Yeah.
And it is a different, depending where you are in the world, it can be a very different experience. The US, for example, and John and Brett will back me up here on very focused. It's very competitive.
Yeah.
The UK
Um,
isn't. Europe, certain shows are a bit that way, others aren't. And it changes depending on where you are. But I would certainly say here in the UK, it's absolutely a community, and people are chat all day long. You can't get out of the place.
Yeah. Another subject is how shows look after their traders. They're really struggling at the moment with recent big increases in travel accommodations. We've frozen prices and told Jadlam no. I understand that. I also think traders. I always, when I go to a model show, I support the traders. I'll always buy something from Brooks. I always buy something off Nick from Deluxe Materials or Deluxe Materials, however you want to say it. Because I saw that they had these new things, either their soft set and sure set, their own decal solutions that I picked up at the weekend. I buy a kit if I tend to buy second-hand kits. I don't really buy new anymore. I buy second-hand things that interest me. But yeah, travel price 3D Gizmo. Well, I didn't buy anything this week from them because I didn't need nothing. But if I need a diorama base, I get one from 3D Gizmo. But like I said to people, I think 80% of my supplies I've gathered and gained from going to a model show. I'm thinking in my mind, I'm just trying to think of I'm going to say paint outside of paint, because when I buy paints, I don't buy just one. I'll buy like a range of them, and I tend to buy them online from Jadlam actually, because they do stock the paints that I need. But model kit wise, I was buying direct off the official website, but I won't be now because I've got nothing I want to buy off them. But if I wanted model kit, I tend to buy off eBay as well, because I buy vintage old kits.
Yeah, same
But
here.
traders need to be respected. I get that, and understand that. Yeah, I do understand that. When people model, they do it in their own home. But if they're doing it at a model show, they're at their comfort zone. I don't see many people building kits at model shows. You get the few, which is nice to see. It's more about telling the world, look at my creation. It's like an art gallery. It's not like painting a picture of the sun and the moon and the stars and just hanging it up inside your house for no one to see it. The idea is that you show off your masterpieces. That's what a model. That's why it's called a show. If you were there to build models, it will probably be a convention, a scale modeling convention, wouldn't it? Because you'll be going there to build models. But a show is about showing off your latest and greatest.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do think, why build a model and just put it and just bin it, Luke? You know what I mean? I just don't get that. I would want to show it off, I do get that. Okay.
Well, even I've reached a stage where I build one, then I've got to throw one away because I need shelf space. As long as I take the photographs beforehand, that's fine. I've got a record of it.
Yeah. I when Luke said to me about throwing away model kits, and I'm then discussed actually over the years, I think, model shows will destroy a model as well. Taking it to a model show, transporting it. You can use as much foam as you like, elastic bands and cocktail sticks. You can even put feathers from a fairy around it. You get there and the undercarriage is falling off. Do you know what I mean? It's like, quick, somebody get the extra thin, and you're there wafting it like that. Well, not in this weather, it will dry. But normally you're there wafting it, trying to get it, then putting it down and making sure that it's going to dry in the right angle. You get all that. Anything that will destroy a kit will be transporting it to and from a model show.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much. Yeah. So from the other side of the display, I've had lots of people walking and looking at the display without saying a word to me, like I wasn't there. We do get out in front of the display as much as behind. I think people, we're British. We will stand in, I've been at the local post office to buy a first class stamp years ago, and there'll be a dough queue there as long as 15, 20 people, and none of them will talk to each other. Do you know what I mean? Because let's get the reality straight. If there was alcohol involved and we'd all had a drink or two, we would have all been livened up. We would be talking to everyone. And that's the difference. And also, a model shows a bit of reverence there as well. You hear people talking, but it's not in a loud voice. It's softly spoken. But if you're in the pub where you've had a drink, you're rowdy and you're telling the Norways to behave themselves and not having a replay because it hit the wire or something like that, I think it's just different situations make people react in different ways. And maybe it's up to you then, as somebody who's showing off the model, to look like you want to speak. Because I think, and I found this as a salesperson, if you turn up to somewhere and you go, "Oh, can you scratch me pad? Is there anything you want?" They probably say, "Nah, not today, mate." But if you go in there and, just for instance, I used to be really good at listening to what's happening between the lads. So if I hear that Jack's mother's been in hospital, I would walk into that room and the first thing I would say is, "Hey, Jack, how's your mum, mate? Is she all right?" Conversation starts going. Everybody's there talking then. Before you know it, anything you want, lads? Actually, can you look in our stores, please? I think we used a couple of discs last week on an ERF. Can you go and see if we could need them replaced? Do you know what I mean? Maybe we should be more like that. Just saying.
I think a lot of it's just quiet contemplation when they're looking. I do it. I'm sort of looking at the modern going, I can't do better than that, you sod. Walk off.
Yeah.
But there are one or two that sort of really catch my eyes. And how did you do that? Then you ask them.
Yeah.
That's how the conversation goes. When I did baggies for a couple of years, and most of the comments I've got is just, I made one of those when I was a kid back in the day.
Yeah.
That's a great question, isn't it? How did you do that?
Yeah,
because it's inviting somebody to share something that they're probably pretty proud of, actually.
Yeah,
because they put it out there. Remember, they've put it out there. They put what they've done out there, almost in competition with themselves, to try and to try and push themselves forward. So you're asking them, how did you get so skillful in another way? And this is a mutual recognition of capability as well. So how did you do that? Is not like Moz said with the do you want scratch pads? Well, how did you do that then? No, God bloody hell, mate, how did you do that? This is it's genuine and it's a design. I mean, I haven't been to a show, and sorry, don't flame me, but I will do. I promise.
You promise? You promise?
Yeah, Scouts Honour.
You hear that, Celtic? He's promised now, Celtic, so he's going to come to the next one.
Didn't say when, though.
Yeah, I know. I'll come along sometime soon. Let's put it like that.
Within the next 20 years.
In the next 20 years.
I will venture forth. I will sally forth ere I die. There you are.
Yes. Okay.
No, but it's a mutual recognition of skill. I like that, and I like to look at things that are really, really good. It's really, really good to understand that lots of people are better. I think that's a really nice thing to know, because I mean, it's all very well. You can be the best in the world, but where do you go? So I'm quite happy to be mediocre because I know I've got somewhere to go, and the trajectory is upwards.
Yeah. By the way, Jared, he helped run the show yesterday, And he said we held an informal every model on tables competition. So, like I said, they didn't have a competition per se where you go and enter for £1. They had these discs. I've got one here. I'll go get it in a minute so I can show you because I won one. It's privately. It's actually on my display now in the front room. We had an informal every models on table competition yesterday. Turned out it was one of them. It was more of a tool to get members who may be shy or just quiet to start a chat with people. It was awesome to see. So there you go. That may be the answer. You know that if you're a club and you're running it, is to get your members to go out there and talk to people. If you're impressed with the model, ask them about it, and then if you feel it's worth an award, do it. It's like I went to one of the stands yesterday, and there was a guy there who had like what are those Japanese buildings called? There's a term. Yeah, he had a table. Yeah, and I said I've never seen anything like this before, and it's a new SIG that's going to be starting or something. And I asked him, "Where'd you get these kits from? Are they scratch built?" He goes, "Oh no, Ashima, Fujimi, they sell them. These pagoda kits. Never seen them before in my life." So I learned something yesterday, but it was a cracking show. Like I said, very warm in there, but it is a tin roof in that place. So Adam, here's a good one for us all. Any tips or suggestions for your first show? If you're attending, take a camera. For sure, because there's no point in if you see something that you are particularly enthralled about, take a picture of it, because then when you have a conversation with somebody who's done something with that model, it's easier in your mind to remember what was said by seeing that picture on your phone, if you know what I mean. That's one tip. Any others? Anyone got any other tips? Luke?
Cash. Take cash.
Yeah. Take cash.
Because how often do you hear it? Do you take card? Well, they're not going to take card, are they? If it's someone selling under their club table, they're not going to have a PDQ machine. Do you know what I mean? So just set yourself.
How much for cash? You get, if you're with a club and you're talking to a trader and you say cash, they usually give you a little bit of discount, especially if you're wearing your club jacket.
Yeah. Any other tips, folks? John, you got any tips?
A big bag so you can carry around all the spots.
I thought you were going to say a big bag and take your daughter so she could carry them around for you as well. Yeah. She could be.
Oh no! I think I ended up carrying her stuff around. No, she.
How's she getting on with those
in mind?
Then we went to the jewelry quarter in Birmingham. So don't take your daughter to a model show.
No.
You'll have way more cash for models.
Yes.
Go with an open mind because you're probably not as good as you think you are.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. And just try and talk to people. Go up and say, who built this one. I think it was the Boscombe Down lads. There was a bloke there who had an old AMT Caterpillar, and he rusted that out absolutely gorgeously. The tracks looked great. The radiator had a good enough amount of rust on it. It looked like it had been through the wars. And I just asked him what he used, But yeah, if you just go to one, even if you just go around and look, but take lots of pictures, or even film it for yourself, And also at model shows, some of the manufacturers are there. I know at Avon, Revell go to Avon, so you'll be able to have a chat with the guys from Revell. I know the Red Company used to go to quite a few, like Tank Museum, for their model shows. Bolton, we talked about that last week. They go to, but Revell go to Bolton as well. But then you've got Telford. If you're ever going to go to a model show, and you want to, there's one model show you need to go to, and that's Telford. And if you become an IPMS member, it's free for 2 days, so it might be worth going. You can absolutely guarantee that somebody will ask you about a model 10 seconds after whoever built it has gone for a walkabout. That's true. That's very true. I am 100% with you on people, Luke. You're saying. Well, Lock Slide, yeah, feel free to. If you want to, there is a build section there. So if you want to show off your models, please do. Just show them up there. MT Park Loafer, Moz, I'm local to the Bolton show. Well, they don't get better than that, really, do they, Luke? If you're close to Bolton, that's a pretty good bloody show to go to.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Yeah. Wayne Welly there, 200 quid. Yeah. You're famous at Moz Models. Am I that famous? I spotted you, Moz, at last year's SMW Scale Model World. I was behind my club stand and shouted, "Right, Moz," and waved. Did I wave back? Hopefully I did. So I always, if somebody shouts at me, if I'm not going somewhere or needing to be somewhere, I always turn around and stop and talk. I met a good number of YouTube people at the shows here over time. It can be a lot of fun. That's good. Telford was great, but spent a fortune on metal tracks. Yeah. Let's have a look here. When my club has its show next year, Moz, Bacon Baps are on me. Which show's that one, mate? Which one's that about? I don't know where Ian Chambers is based, but yeah, I'll be there.
Honestly, shamelessly bribing Moz with bacon sandwiches, eh? I don't know.
No, I think he used to be the Milky Bar kid because he's saying everything's on him.
Ah, well, indeed. Quite
Well,
right. It wouldn't have gone quite so well if that little kid had said, "The bacon baps are on me."
No, it wouldn't have, would it?
Not for a chocolate ad, anyway.
Moz, I meant the way some people will comment. Had a guy tell someone once he had too much snow on a dial. I don't know how I'd react to that if somebody said da, da, da. I take criticism when it comes to my models as construction, because if they said that to me, oh, you put too much, if you've done too much weather in here, I would then straight away say, well, how would you do it then?
Yeah.
Put them back on the spot, and then and what story would you tell with that model? It's what I would probably do, to be fair. Yeah, I get that.
I probably would have said I wouldn't have used as much snow.
Yeah.
If I was building it,
have you had criticisms on your models, Luke, at a show?
Yeah, and I think it's like anything, isn't it? If you're displaying your work, then it's in the public domain at that point. So you've got to accept that people will have different opinions.
Yeah.
And some people like a lot of snow on a diet, some people don't.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong, but I think it all depends. It's the same old thing that we've talked about 101 times, critique. It's how you receive that critique. Now, if you're in a fortunate position like I am, you can counter that quite quickly by saying, well, how many times have you won gold at Telford?
Yeah.
You know, you can counter that quite quickly. Or if you're the sort of character that doesn't take things too personally, because it's no reflection on you as an individual that they don't like the fact that you put what in their opinion is too much snow on something. It means nothing. If you're happy with it, then that's what counts. But you will always get them. But it's something you have to accept if you're putting your stuff into the public.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just part and parcel of it. Having said that, I would say there's way more positive interactions than there are negative. And if you're the same character as me, you just say, well, we'll talk about it outside after the show and I'll break your jaw. It's as simple as that, really. But
And then
you know,
patch them up afterwards.
there are a few bullies in the community. There are, but there are bullies in every walk of life, and they will. You know yourself. You put a picture of a Spitfire on social media, and some smart ass somewhere will say, "I think you'll find that rivets in the wrong place." You know, they're just.
I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry.
Who actually cares? It doesn't really matter. It's a plastic model by the very nature that it's a model of a real life thing.
Right. It's not made of
It's
metal.
never going to be accurate. That's just the nature of it. It's never going to be accurate. It can be close, but it's never going to be 100% accurate ever, because it can't be. It's not real. It's a scale down. But you've just got to take it on the chin and meet like for like. If they're rude, be rude back.
Yeah.
If they're more constructive in what they say, then take it on board and learn from it. It's a learning experience.
Yeah.
But if they lack social etiquette, then
yeah, exactly.
That can also be addressed.
Yeah. How many times has Airfix been criticised for excess rivet detail?
All the time. Every kit they ever produced before 1980.
Oh, it's true, especially that Mark II Hurricane scaled out. It must be the size of half of an orange.
You on about the 2B?
Yeah.
The one with a bloody cockpit that's half the size it should be.
Yep.
Yeah.
At
one of the model shows I attended with my model club, just as a bit of an aside, Celtics has just said, what destroys pitot tubes, Moz? Well, Kim on his flanker had this pitot tube on the front, and I was unloading my box of my models, putting them down, and within a second, and I don't think it was me, but I'm being blamed for it anyway, the pitot tube ended on the table. I don't know how it got there, but the camaraderie of the thing is that it probably was me, even though I don't remember touching it, hitting it, anything. But I was the closest to the model where the pitot tube had reluctantly fallen off. I think it wasn't stuck on properly. I think it fell off by itself. But anyway, what the camaraderie is that we have such a laugh about that, because now whenever there's a model, they always say, watch out, Moz is there, hang on, which way you put your pitot, And that's the one thing I love about the model show is the camaraderie in amongst our own scale model club and with others. I think we were sat, as an example, right? So we went to Telford last year and we were sat, the table behind us, as you know, they're done in 2 rows, and then you sit in the middle of those 2 rows, was the Plymouth Scale Model Club. Because we were there for 2 days, we kind of bonded, between the clubs. We're both based in Devon, one end, one in the other end. But it was a way of us bonding between those clubs. And now when we see each other at model shows, we're able to wave and say hello, and not be afraid. But yeah, I think, and going back to model shows, if you've not been to one, especially in the UK, I'm talking to, it's definitely worth at least going to one, and just envelop and embrace what's happening at the model show and enjoy it. And if you don't look after the model shows, they are becoming less and less. Even this year, Bugle Call is finished. I was just seeing up there somebody had put that the Haviland Museum may be moving their model show, so because of complaints. So it is one of them, part of it.
Well, I'm not clear about this. Sorry, I'm not clear about this whole complaint thing. I mean, I've encountered a few modelers in the last few months or so, and Moz's local modelling club, I think, is fairly typical, but they don't seem to be a particularly rowdy lot.
No.
Do you all go off to the pub without me after the evenings are finished?
we talk about you when you're gone, but we don't go to the pub, mate. You know,
Oh,
it's,
everybody talks about me after I'm gone, so that's fine. That's all right.
Mhm.
Me too, Sim. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, I'm not bothered about it. If they're talking about me, they're not talking about someone else. So there we are.
HypnoNet said, if I go to a model show again, I'm going to get a T-shirt that reads, "I'm a modeler." Hopefully, everyone won't keep thinking I'm with my husband. Listen, I'll tell you the way around. You don't need to wear a T-shirt. What you need to do is get him to carry all the models, and then you talk to everyone saying, "Oh, I love what you've done," and they'll know then that he's definitely the donkey and you are the scale modeler.
Yeah.
Because I see it all the time. The modelers are there and their beloveds are carrying their models. That's the answer. Don't worry about a T-shirt. If you're holding hands with somebody who's carrying scale models, we know that you're the scale modeler, not him. It'll be the other way around. Celtic said, I love chatting to people. I often ask about what they are working on. As a club, we welcome comments and questions. And to be fair, I think most clubs are like that at model shows. You know, it's just having enough time in the day to talk to everyone, really. So yeah. A good question here. What do the colonial cousins think about the model show's influence on the hobby? So that's for you, Brett and John. If Jim was here, he's got a very good take on this, but he's not here today to answer that. Maybe we'll keep that question.
He would absolutely be the best person to answer that.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Brett? Do you go to many model shows?
I usually go to the Nationals. And
Yeah.
there's 2 model shows in Colorado and 1 in Utah that I go to.
Yeah.
They're very friendly, very lot of fun. And I don't show my models except on the non-compete tables.
Yeah.
And I take a lot of cash because I buy a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot of camaraderie because, you know, we talk online or stuff, but we see each other once or twice a year.
Yeah. That's it. When you don't see somebody, you know, there's people I'll only see once a year, and that's at Telford. Or the other one is the furthest one I really go to is the Plymouth one, the policeman's one, the West Midlands. That's the only other one I go to.
Blue light one.
Yeah, blue lamp.
Blue
But
lamp,
we have said as a club this year that we will attend the boat. Is the Bolton one over 2 years or 1 day?
1 day.
I think Bolton. I think we're going to come up on the Saturday night and get a hotel, and then go to the Bolton one on the Sunday, and then drive back. I think we're going to do that next year as a club, not to go and show, but to go as a club and see, because that's what the Southwest modelers do that a lot. They don't necessarily go as a club with a stand and take their models. They'll go as a club to go and look at other modelers and other models and stuff. Obviously it's nice to go and show off your models at these shows, but sometimes it is a logistical, not nightmare, but it's a logistical workflow. You know, you've got to get your stand. It's not just about taking models up; it's taking your stands up, your cloths, getting people there. But if but you can go all up in a car then and just have there's no models there, so your boot then can be filled with other model kits. Fortunately, I've got a van, and I've always said to the lads, if you buy too much, just stick it all in my van. So it works out quite well for us. But yeah, definitely one of them. But yeah, Jim has a really unique take and a brilliant take, because if I'm right, when he last talked about this, the shows in America are totally different to the shows in the UK. That where we go to show models, and it's more like an expo, an exhibition of where you can go and buy lots of product and everything. In America, it's more of a show, isn't it? As in, more of an exhibition showing off models. Is that right, Luke? If I remember rightly?
No, not exactly. So I think the difference between the UK and the US, as a general rule, US model shows are heavily focused on the content, whereas in the UK not so much. And I think, and Jim would absolutely agree with me, the reason for that, or the overriding reason, is because geographically the US is so vast that if Brett wanted to go to a show in another part of the country and he wanted to display as a club, that's a logistical nightmare because it might be a 3 or 4 day drive. Pretty much in the UK, you could drive from top to bottom in 12 hours ish.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So for us to get lots of clubs and SIGs in one place is a lot simpler than it is in the US because geographically it's so vast. And culturally, the US is very different to the UK. Culturally, the US is a very competitive society, way more so than we are in the UK. And so that naturally will feed into the hobby space. Doesn't really matter which hobby it is, but it will. And I think the overriding reason our shows are different is because we have lots of clubs there. Just with a club stand, you can't really do that to the same level in the US because geographically it's so huge. You know, you can't put your club stand on a flight. You know what I mean? You can't do that. So are you going to take a week off work and drive there and then another week off to drive back?
Yeah.
You know, it's just so different.
Yeah.
And Europe is different again, and the Far East is different again, and you know there's lots of nuance around shows depending on where they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I drive when I go to shows. When I go to shows, I drive everywhere because flying's such a pain in the ass over here.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like going to Fort Wayne in August, that's going to take me about 19 hours to drive.
Mm-hmm.
With, you know, if I drive straight through, which sometimes I do, depending on my motivation. But also, I buy so much that flying would be completely impossible. I have no will.
But you imagine having to take your whole club's display and everything else that distance. It becomes problematic really quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'd have to hook up a trailer to the car, and no, there's usually local clubs will go to the shows in their area, but like the nationals, there's not a lot of clubs except the clubs that are putting it on. Where you guys have great clubs and SIGs and everything else with all your shows.
Every show, every single show. Because if you really want to make the effort, like it's quite easy to do. It's not the logistical nightmare that it would be in the US. It's not. It just takes a bit of effort and a couple of long days. That's all it takes. Whereas the US, you pretty much write off a week. I mean, and who can do that?
And that's also cost as well, isn't it, Luke? It's also the cost. You know, I reckon that for me personally, with fuel, luckily accommodation is a lot cheaper now, but the scale model show Telford for me is around a £500 weekend for me, with my food, my travel, my room, buying kits, buying food on the day, going out on the pits with Luke in the evening. You know, it really mounts up. But as I said, there is that social side of it, indeed.
Absolutely.
You know, so
I mean,
definitely.
Not everyone is in a position. So yesterday's a classic example. So for me to attend that show yesterday, by the time you factor in entrance fee, fuel, food, what you're going to spend at the show, etc., you could probably say anywhere between 200 and 250 quid.
Yeah.
To go to a one-day show in, well, just outside Western Superman.
Yeah.
I think that's worth it. But not everyone has the same either resources or the same attitude as to where they're going to spend that 250 quid.
Yeah.
You know, it's the best thing I bought yesterday. I spent 15 quid on it, absolute bargain. But if I hadn't have spent the other 200 odd quid, I would never have got there to see it at that price. So I'd never bought it. You know what I mean? So
What did you buy, Luke?
I bought the Raval 48 scale Raval B.
Oh, right.
And I paid 15 quid for it.
Bloody
Wow.
hell.
Oh,
And that retails, if you can find one, anywhere between 60 and 70 quid.
Yeah, easily.
That's good. Yeah. Revo Dave, the only model show near me is North Devon Model Show. Well, that's funny because that's in 2 weeks, isn't it, Barry?
Yeah, 16th of next month.
So it's 4 weeks away, is it?
Yeah.
Weeks. What's before then? Is there a show before then? Oh yeah, Romsey Scale Model shows next weekend.
There you go, man.
Yeah. Oh wow. Look at that decal. That's gonna be a bitch to go down that one. Oh yeah, IPMS. We got Avon Model Show first on the 2nd of August. And then on the 16th we've got North Devon. So yeah, those are the next two for me. Crumbs, yeah. Busy, very busy. Yeah. Coolio. Right. You probably buy all these chips will be probably cheaper online. Impulse buy, yeah. I'm knowing my luck, if I had a missus, she would take over my hobby room. Fair decum, mate. Fair decum. We had one in here in Texas a few months ago. It was mostly selling kits. Very few were on show. Yeah. Try dating on Modelers fans. Only Modelers fans. Yeah, very good. Yeah. Yeah. We're too nerdy to date now. We rather stay at home and model. Yeah. I drive. I know I'm married. She just said that. I drive 2 hours to get to my show. Can't do out of state right now because of Dad's health. Yeah, we've done. Yeah, I think the furthest we go was about 2 hours. I think Salisbury is like an hour and 45 minutes. Bovington's about an hour and a half. So yeah, but that's one that's Bovington isn't having a winter model show this year. They're doing a wargaming one instead, and I think they'll miss out a little bit with that one. I'm afraid they should have had a different day for that. I think. Doug Smith said, "I'm skipping nationals, but several members of our club are attending. The event is over 1,000 miles from here, so yeah." CCC off topic, but if anybody wants a 1/72nd scale H4 Hercules sprue goose, my model shop has it second hand for 400 quid. That's a lot of money. Question: currently building a load of Spitfires and Hurricanes, a World War II movie set during the Battle of Britain. Does the panel have any suggestions on how to bring panel lines up? I currently use a pencil. Luke.
I mean, that's such a vast question.
It is, isn't it?
Generally, World War II aircraft, well, it's going to be a two-tone scheme on most of those, isn't it? Spitfires and Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Most people on sort of World War II era single prop fighter type aircraft, most people use the method where they'll prime it in grey.
Yeah.
And then they'll get black or a dark brown. Yeah. And they will then airbrush that over, the panel lines, and it creates a bit of mottling and that sort of stuff. And then once the camouflage scheme is down and decals, gloss coat it. Probably the easiest way of then doing it is using something like an Ultimate Modeling Products wash, dark dirt, flooring model, dark dirt, AK panel liners, Tamiya panel liners. There's so many ways of doing it. More modern aircraft tends to be a bit more difficult because generally they're one color. And it depends on the effects you want.
Yeah.
You know, I really like the overemphasized panel detail, the overemphasized rivets, the over.
Yeah.
You know, there's probably people sat here that don't like that.
Yeah.
And so it all depends on what, you know, what sort. I very rarely just pre-shade. I post-shade as well
Yeah.
to really emphasize the panel lines and stuff. But a lot of people don't like that. So it's such a vast question. But I would say as a basic starting point, prime it in grey, black or dark brown the panel lines themselves, then put your camouflage scheme on, then gloss coat it, then use some sort of wash or accent color within the panel lines themselves, and that should make them pop enough for most people's taste.
This is I think a photographic question to some extent, and you know, if you're using models, you're simulating distance, and that might introduce some issues in terms of perhaps needing to overdo it rather than underdo it. Possibly, I don't know. I mean, it depends what the gentleman is trying to achieve, really. But you know, a lot can be achieved by lighting. In fact, can it not?
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's for a movie, a lot can be achieved by AI. that's the reality. Rather than
the questioner is probably a Renaissance man and wishes to do it, you know, according to Hoyle, as it were. And who can blame him for that? You know, I salute him.
Yeah, just don't use Claude because it puts props in different positions and stuff. That's the only problem you've got with that. And the wheel ends up being up in the sky, you know. So, yeah, don't do that.
I think it does depend, though, doesn't it, on free versions and paid versions of all this sort of stuff. I mean, I can't go into like massive detail, but my employee uses an AI program to assist its employees as a tool, and it's obviously paid for. They pay a lot of money to have this particular AI program, and that thing is phenomenal.
Yeah,
it's so good, so good.
I think they're very much quicker as well if you pay for them. They prioritize server time for those who know, and that makes a difference.
So good, so good.
Yeah, but we want authenticity in our modeling.
Fuck AI. Same with 3D printing, all that rubbish.
Yeah, definitely. We want to trust what we see on the box, don't we? And in the advert.
Look. Ooh.
I'll tell you what, though, I bet that's £6 of resin there, isn't it?
Oh. Probably. Yes.
As I said, I've talked. I was talking to Alex. Oh yeah, by the way, Alex says late to the party tonight. It was great to catch up with you and Luke yesterday. It was a pleasure meeting up with you, my friend.
Absolutely, mate.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. But yeah, I would. I am looking forward to the smaller version of that tractor. Apparently, they're doing a Fred Dimden one as well, a road roller. Is that right? Have I heard that right?
Yeah, that's true. They've got plans for a further 15, so 16 in total.
Wow.
So you'll end up with like the Showman's one with a roof on it, the roller, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. Bit of a trivia. The RAF aircraft in the 1969 Battle of Britain film had the codes change from sky to white because the sky colour didn't show up on film too well. Yeah. I can, if
Exactly.
It's like
Zinzan was saying,
Zinzan will probably confer with this, but a lot of the aircraft used in the Battle of Britain weren't built until after the after the war finished.
One was there was
one was a Mark 9, wasn't it?
No. Yeah, one was an actual, I think, P2750 off the top of my head was an actual Battle of Britain Spitfire.
Yeah.
It was due to be scrapped. A museum came along and bought it for £20. They
Yeah.
put it in the museum, and when the producers went round, they bought it, got it airworthy, and when they finished with the film, they donated it to the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the vintage aircraft that were going then are a bit like Trigger's broom anyway, in the sense
Yeah,
that
they
they
were.
had 8 new heads and 4 new handles and all that kind of thing. More or less everything has been changed on them. You know,
All the
you've got-
Messerschmitts were actually Spanish Buchans, weren't they?
Yeah, they probably had MOD surplus Lancaster engines in them. Yeah, we
No,
sold
the
them the
Buchans had
engines.
Merlins in them, didn't they, Barry?
Yeah.
Had Merlin 500s in them. But most of the filming was done by a 2-seat Buchan.
Yep, that's right. There
Yeah.
was only one that existed in at the time, and that was
Yeah.
the point of view plane.
Yeah.
And they also used a 2-seater Spitfire,
Yeah.
which is used in the longest shot in the film, with the dummy getting thrown out, the parachute don't open. That was done in 2 takes, and the people still got fired.
Oh.
How many? Weren't they the 5th or the 6th largest air force in the world when they were put together?
Yeah. Because
Something like that.
the display I did at the model show 2 years ago was all the aircraft in the film.
Was it?
Yeah.
Fair play.
Did the
Anyways, we've got 8 minutes. If you've got any questions to ask, we open up to the chat now. If you've got any questions to ask, be so speak now, or forever hold your peace. And if there's nothing else to discuss, we'll close up the stream.
Yeah.
As I say, it's 8 minutes too. I've got nothing else. I think we've discussed most of the stuff we want to discuss tonight. We'll be back again next week. Hopefully, I'll have some intros and outros to put into the stream. But just finally, just thank everyone who's messaged me, emailed me. I know nothing else. I've done what they've asked, and now I just await their response to my email to say, look, I've done what you've said, removed all the logos, changed the name of the show, and we will, and see what they do. You know, like I said, it wasn't the fact that they threatened to sue me. You know, I don't have a lot of money anyway. Well, I said most of it's all bits and pieces, but it was a fact that, you know, the threatening bit was they would look to take down my show and take down the channel and take down my social media. So that was what frightened me the most, and that's why I removed all the logos. And like I've said to any other model company out there, and I know I'm loved, I will go to where I'm loved. So if I am wanted by them, the certain companies that have already been in touch with me this week, I mean, really impressed with this. I mean, I keep going on about it, but I mean, given this diecast Optimus Prime that somebody's asked me not to film, not to review, but to build it and see whether it be something that you could see a scale modeler want to build. This is the thing, you see. We were into plastics and that, but I think, you know, there's a place for diecast, you know, to build up models with diecast, and we have done it. You know, I've been built that well. I've got to finish it off this month. I said I'm going to do it this month. The Agostini Mustang, like and the Pocker stuff that I've done. There's a place for this, you know, and there's nothing stopping me weathering it after, you know, making it look like a dirty old, not one of the pervy dirty, but like a filthy dirty, you know, still pervy, but looking like a messed up
Optimus Prime.
And,
put him in a raincoat, you know.
Yeah, put him in a raincoat. Yeah. But anyways, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We'll be back again next Monday, same time, same place, and there'll be no channel members this week, Wednesday or Thursday, because it's the England game on Wednesday, and on Thursday I'm doing a pub quiz in Taunton, so I won't be able to do it. But if I have got time on a Sunday or something in the afternoon, I'll do a members live stream then. But anyway, thanks all for watching, and again, we'll see you next week. Thank you, panel. Thank you, chat. See you next week. Bye.
See you later.
Guys.